I got to tell you that open just gets me so hyped up for this show. So hyped up for this show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to Alarm Fantasy Football. I'm Howard Bender. Andrew Cooper with me here today. Britt Flynn not here this week, so the show must go on. And here is Coop and I. And I got to tell you, we were like having like a nice little laugh there before the show even started. So we're coming in a little extra jovial, I guess. But it was kind of like that awkward sort of laughter, like talking about NFL injuries and all that kind of thing. It just, there's like an awkward thing. We were talking about Logan Thomas.
Oh, right? Yeah.
Hi, Coop. How are you? Welcome to the show, everybody.
Well, what's happening, dude? What's happening, chat? I mean, and the thing is, we were kind of chuckling or whatever. The intro just wipes the slate clean. Like I thought we were coming out of the tunnel. I was ready to cartwheel, dude. I'm ready to get after it. And we got the Twitch friends in the chat already. Rex, I saw your question on the last show before that we didn't get to. So get those questions in here. Everybody coming over. If we didn't get to your questions, we'll get to them today. We're gonna hit on the news. We're gonna hit on some questions. We got some big segments coming up here too, Howard. Right, buddy?
Big segments coming up. I mean, that's the thing. We want to try and make sure that we're feeding you guys also, additional information. You get everything over at fantasyalarm.com. If you don't have that all pro subscription, I mean, you're already missing out on a ton of content. So if we kind of get caught up in the whole just question after question after question, then we're not going to be able to feed you some of that other content. I mean, if you have the all pro subscription, still there's more that we have. There's more. I can't believe. Look at Coop's mind. His
all there. It's secret.
You see his head. It's not his ego. It's knowledge. That's why
coming out my ears.
Such a huge noggin. Why he's got to wear the hat all the time. Me too. Same thing. You got to keep it all in. The gray matter wants to seep out.
Well, that's the thing. This is what you get on shows like this. But what's under the cap behind the paywall for members? I mean, that's where all the good stuff is. That's where all the top secrets.
You got like a modern day Johnny Bravo style hairdo. You got like the shaved on the bottom and like, I got all these luscious locks up top. I wear the hat because the hair is thinning. You wear the hat to keep the gray matter in. So.
Yeah, keep the secrets, dude. To keep the secrets, the DFS picks, all that stuff that is for members only.
It is for members only, but you know what? I like to share some of that. We were going to talk about, vulnerable secondaries. And listen, if you're playing DFS, we cover that. Like Coop covers it in the tight end coach, cover it in the wide receiver coach. We cover it in the wide receiver cornerback matchup article that our good friend JB Barry just joined the Fantasy Alarm family, brings that to the table. So, I mean, there's a ton of stuff here, but we do like to also share it with you guys here. Plenty of time for Q&A. Again, we've got another episode of Alarm Fantasy Football tomorrow. Coop's got live streams with John Impemba before game time and all sorts of stuff. So we'll get you in there as best as possible. But like I was saying, when we were coming in, it was a little awkward laughter. We were talking about the fact that Logan Thomas, I mean, the dude just got knocked out on that hit. And it wasn't a clean hit. It was a bad hit. And, but overall, like I saw the dude didn't get suspended for it.
No, I don't know, man. And I'll tell you what, Logan Thomas holding on to that football, man, he took that ball with him to the shadow realm. Like,
well, that's why we were saying, I was like, yeah, it was like Rod Tidwell at the end of Jerry Maguire. I was half expecting him to get up. See, right? You're like laughing because it's funny when you think
shouldn't
about
laugh at that.
You shouldn't laugh. I mean, it's brutal. Cole Turner, though, that's the guy you want if Logan Thomas is out.
He'll be in the DFS line. He'll be in the DFS article for sure. I'm going to put him in there regardless. So I'm going to write a caveat, just write up why we like Cole Turner and basically say you only start him if Logan Thomas is out. But I mean, we're talking about a converted wide receiver that is going into a role that was already a wide receiver role under Ron Rivera. And then Eric Bieniemy brought over his big bag of tight end tricks that he, figured out with Travis Kelce over the years. And if you look at what Noah Gray, even week one, was able to do with the 5 catches or 5 targets or whatever, like whoever is in that job is going to get some looks. And for Cole Turner's price on DFS or whatever, yeah, we're in.
Yeah, 100%. So, listen, the Cole Turner value, we'll reveal more of those as we go through a lot of the NFL injuries today. We're going to, jump on that. And then later on here in the show, We're going to try and get to some secondaries that we are targeting against. We wanted to bring that to you guys yesterday. So just make sure that we get that in. We'll make some underdog higher or lower picks today also. You obviously want to jump in on their contest that we've got. Go to fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Promo code ALARM, 100% match deposit on your first one there. And Coop and I are going to carry you through a ton of stuff. But let's, enough with the pleasantries, enough with the fanfare here. Let's get down to business, and let's start off, at the quarterback position here, because the injuries and the reports that we're seeing right now, I mean, it's, Ian Rappaport saying Joe Burrow won't be fully healthy for probably some time. Jim Bob Cooter's like, nope, we're going to let Anthony Richardson run. I don't care how many concussions that dude gets. And then little poor Bryce Young, right? He's so little baby guy. He's like, he fits in Darren Sproles' pocket. And that's why they're not doing QB sneaks. What's up with the QB news right now?
I do. So we gotta hit on the other stuff first, but the Bryce Young stuff. I just love how all offseason it was a contest to see who could get the best like perspective on him to make him look as small as possible. Like I feel like dudes were like climbing trees to take the angle that made him look like a tiny little dude.
It's like I'm pinching your head right now here.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that would people at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and then there's like there's Bryce Young, just like tiny little thing. Like he's not that small, but it is interesting that now this is kind of I thought it was when I first kind of heard it, I thought it was just like a joke, but this is there are articles on like ESPN and all over the place saying that they're not going to do it. They're not going to use them for QB sneaks. So I don't know. I get it with like Tua, like, you don't use like Tua with QB sneaks because what's going on, but it's he really can't get it. He can't get it done. That could be a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, maybe try it. They should at least give him an opportunity, right? Line up like the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts. You've got him so surrounded and so protected. Like that's why that formation is there. It's not just for the guys to get that push from behind, but it's also to protect your quarterback during a quarterback sneak like that. And if you've got him, like I mean, it's bubble wrap.
Just have Hayden Hurst pick him up like a baby and just put him on the other side. Like just reach. Yeah.
He's like holding him in his arms.
Like he's putting him into like a shopping cart, like a little seat up top, right? First down.
they should do like around Hayden Hurst. They should do like a papoose, like a wrap. And put Bryce Young in it right there, so that way Hayden Hurst can, have the bubble wrap around him also, and it doesn't hurt his ribs.
I wouldn't rule anything out,
especially if Bryce Young's a biter. You never want to deal with a biter.
No.
All right, well, let's get to the real stuff here, and obviously the Joe Burrow situation is we kind of knew, everybody saw this coming. If you didn't see it coming, then I don't know what to tell you. None of us were like wheels up Joe Burrow. We were like, yeah, you start Joe Burrow because he's there. But knowing him aggravating that injury right now the question is how much do you protect him? How much do you hold him out? Because obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase value is getting clipped.
You hold him out until he's 100%. And it's because not only do we just see what happened to Aaron Rodgers, but the example I always go to is Kevin Durant, where he said he's like, my calf is strained, and it was the NBA Finals, so he decided to play. Which if this was the Super Bowl, you play. But what happened with Kevin Durant is he tore his Achilles, and that's what happens sometimes with these calf issues. So if that's even on the table, you don't play the guy, because those injuries, sometimes people come back, sometimes they don't. It's totally. I mean, I say even if it costs you the season, you just hold him out until he's good to go. That's my policy on that. And if you got to start Jake Browning, or I think they got Will Greer over there now, then you got to start those guys.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I've always been of that mindset. There's the talk about Saquon Barkley, and it's obvious gamesmanship there that Dayball's like, oh no, San Francisco's got to prepare for Barkley, and not just worry about the Matt Breida revenge game narrative that's about to take place in there. But you don't want as a fantasy owner of these guys, I don't want them playing. Sit out until you're 100% is exactly what you said. Right. I would like to see that. I don't know what probably for some time is that I mean, you kind of have to figure that it's not going to happen on Monday night. I wouldn't use them Monday night. If you have a viable quarterback to use on Sunday or that first Monday night football game, I would not be starting Joe Burrow at all this week. And, unfortunately, I'm never going to take Jamar Chase out of my lineups.
No,
I'm never going to take T. Higgins out of my lineups. You can't do that. Ask the people who benched Garrett Wilson and then just watched him this past week score that touchdown.
The people who benched T. Higgins too. He had 0 points week 1, 2 touchdowns this week.
I know, right? That's like all the people who like sold or dropped Drake London too.
I will say that. Yeah, I know, gross. I will say Zach Wilson, a little bit, dude. He's got some zip. You say what you will, he holds on the ball. He sometimes runs 30 yards in the wrong direction before he throws it, but he can put some zip on the ball, huh? That pass to Garrett Wilson over the middle, that was a laser. That was a nice throw.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he has so much to learn, and we talked about this. We talked about this on on yesterday's show. Also, what we want is for Aaron Rodgers to be the voice in the helmet for Zach Wilson. I would much prefer that than to have Nathaniel Hackett's voice in there.
Yeah. So there's one stat that I've been tracking, and it applies to Justin Fields, but it applies to Zach Wilson as well. And this is what I want to follow with him is he does get himself into some trouble. And so far, when they call a pass play, he's only actually throws the ball 82% of the time, which is towards the very bottom of the league. I want to see him out there throwing the ball at least 90% of the time. Like, of course, you're going to scramble sometimes. You're going to get sacked. And, if you throw it away, that doesn't count as an attempt sometimes. So, but I want to see him 90% is where he needs to live. Even Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, those guys are at like 86, and he's not them. So he needs to be, when they call the pass play, he needs to be throwing the football. It sounds pretty simple, but that's what I want to see from this play.
I just need to see growth. That's it. I just want to see some steady growth. I was never planning on Aaron Rodgers beyond this season anyway. Maybe next season, if this season was, truly successful. You have to, throwing Zach Wilson into the fire like this is a little dangerous. I obviously don't like him going up against the Patriots and Bill Belichick. I mean, that's, that's a bust of a notion right there. I mean,
that game's going to be so bad, Howard. What I think it's set at like 35 points or something. Like that is going to be
right. That's going to be like 9-6 by the end of that game.
I know it's set at like 35, and I'm still thinking maybe under. But hey, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? In any event, we were talking Joe Burrow here. Don't know how long he's going to be out. Definitely not playing him this week. We'll continue to play Chase. We'll continue to play Higgins. Won't play Boyd. Won't worry about that. I'm fine with Joe Mixon. I'll use Joe Mixon. That's fine. I'm not going to go and overinvest in the Bengals, but if I'm playing season-long fantasy, I got to start, my guys, unless you have like a clear alternative as to when that. Where did you rank for this week? Garrett Wilson, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. Where'd you rank those guys?
So
you guys can find Andrew Cooper's rankings over at
all my rankings are up there at Fantasy Alarm. I have I know I have Garrett Wilson so I know I have Chase just around back end wide receiver 1 range. I think he's like 8 or 9 or so still. Garrett Wilson I have around 15, which means you're starting him in every single league, right? Like every league I play has at least 2 wide receiver spots, right? So you're starting him, and then Higgins is the one where I have him probably right around the back end wide receiver 2 range. But again, I mean, it's like, unless your team is loaded, you're going to have to start at least 2 wide receivers in flex. We got to think of it in those terms, where it's like most of these guys are going to be in your lineup. My question for you, Howard, is like, so Jake Browning, I just ranked him at 32, but the more I think, I actually, there's some players we'll talk about in a little bit, but I don't know. There could be an argument to be made to move him ahead of a couple guys. Is there anybody that would you start Joshua Dobbs or?
I mean, that's what we're looking at. If you're talking about, the matchups pure and simple like that. Yeah, he's definitely not last in the league. Josh Dobbs against the Dallas Cowboys this week. I mean, the only thing that could save it, the only thing that I could save is that Dallas could be looking ahead of this game. And so all of a sudden it's like closer than you would like to think. But I'm still not going to start Joshua Dobbs against the Dallas Cowboys. I would actually probably start Browning, against the Rams. Where are the Rams in pass cover? Look at that. 28th in DVOA against the pass.
Yeah.
You're
Okay.
giving up a fair amount of yards through the air right now. So yeah, I mean, I would definitely do that.
Yeah. We got a couple questions in the chat. If you want to hit them real quick, Howard, what do you think? There's a couple Burrow questions.
A couple of Burrow questions. Is it the one wondering if he's going to be out before the start of the Eagles game?
Yeah, that one's not happening. But we got one. Burrow. Someone dropped Dak Prescott. Should I drop Muth or Kincaid to pick up Dak? I mean, if you don't have
got Joe Burrow, yeah,
you need you need a quarterback. I would drop Freiermuth right now because he's not doing anything even with Deontay Johnson out. I think his chest might still be not right. So I honestly, if you have to drop somebody, you have to drop somebody. So I would drop Muth.
Interesting. I think I have Muth in the watch list. I don't know. I mean, I think
anything, man. He's not doing anything. He has done anything.
I mean, listen, that's why it's a watch list. No, he didn't do anything this past week, and maybe yes, his chest was bothering him, but it's a new week, it's a new matchup. I mean, where are we looking at for Pittsburgh this week? They're playing the Raiders. Where are the Raiders against the tight end? Probably not great.
Not good. No, they're definitely not good.
Probably not great. So,
I know.
Yeah, see, there you go. I know. See, that's the thing. Like, I know you love Kincaid.
But you're giving up. You're giving up on the upside. Who else do you have on your team? Is there anyone else you can drop? But I guess you might.
No. Drop Freiermuth. I mean, Coop is right. If you're gonna deal with a tight end, you can get the low floor, the high floor, low floor of Freiermuth. But with Kincaid, things could blossom. And so I don't think that Muth is going to outscore him, severely over the next, let's just say 3-4 weeks while Kincaid kind of puts it together. So drop Muth, add Dak.
The reason being is that Kincaid could be the slot wide receiver for the Bills, and that upside is somewhere else, whereas it's going to be easier to find Freiermuths on the wire. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to find a Freiermuth than it is to find the hypothetical upside of Kincaid. But we also might not hit that. But I'm going for upside.
Have you guys ever seen, in the nature shows, you've got the lizard and he's just he's hanging onto the side of the cliff and he's just kind of looking over him? That's Coop holding on to his shares of his hopes of Dalton Kincaid right now. He's just like, what? Freiermuth? No, I'm not going to jump yet. I'm going to stay right here.
Six. I mean, the thing is, he played fewer wide receiver snaps than he did week 1. So I was hoping we could maybe pull ourselves up over the ledge, but actually, the route we were hanging on to kind of just fell out a little bit.
It's slipping. It's slipping a little bit.
Oh, so that's where we're living with that. Chat.
Right, what else we got?
Oh, we got the Twitch gang here. Let me get the Twitch glasses out. What's up, gang? Thanks for joining us. We love our friends over at Twitch. Trade Higgins in Montgomery for Evans and Javonte Williams. Wow, that's some big names there, man.
Yeah.
So
it's tough, man. I don't know if I do that. I listen. I'm not gonna sell off Higgins for cheap. Evans is coming off of a great game, and listen, the Bucs have been doing really awesome things for the first 2 weeks of the season. Am I going to pin my hopes on Baker Mayfield actually performing well all year long? No, I'm not. So while I do like Evans and I think that he will, continue to perform, I'm not going to give up on the upside of T. Higgins with Joe Burrow and what the two of them can do together. To me, Montgomery and Javonte Williams at this point right now is still a wash. And, obviously Montgomery with the thigh issue, maybe he sits a week, but if you're looking at it long term, Dan Campbell's efforts at the running back position really favor Monty than they do Jahmyr Gibbs.
And I'll tell you what, with Mike Evans, this is the Mike Evans we know. It's the Mike Evans that we've always had. If Mike Evans got to play the Bears and the Vikings every week, then Mike Evans would be the greatest wide receiver of all time. Unfortunately, this week he's going to play Darius Slay. And then the next week, he's going to go up against Marshawn Lattimore, who he half the time they just have a fist fight instead of actually playing the game.
They'll both be tossed by the
they'll both be tossed
quarter.
Right. He plays them twice. Luckily, he plays them twice, and the second time they play, Howard, it's fantasy football championship week. He's got AJ Terrell on the schedule twice, so it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows for Mike Evans. Like, you got to pick and choose your spots. This week on Monday night, if James Bradbury is out, I'm going Chris Godwin, showdown captain.
There you go. Very interesting. All right, let's go to some. Let's just cruise through. How concerned are you about St. Brown?
I mean, turf toe is horrifying, and he's
got a medal. I'm looking for the report on the turf toe, and I don't see it.
So
where are you pulling it?
The Twitter doctors. So grain of salt, but they're so this is the inference, is that they did mention, I think Amon-Ra mentioned himself, that he's playing with metal, like these shoes that have metal in them. And the guy Deepak Chona, I believe his name is, said that that's pretty much something you only do when you have turf toe. So that's kind of the inference there.
Okay. Well, I want to seize up. Yeah. Look. Oh, here we go. Now all of a sudden it's labeled a toe injury. It went from undisclosed to now it's toe. All right. We'll see.
The Twitter doctor snuck in there with the metal shoe, the classic Twitter doctor with the metal shoe in the study. Right. That's the clue.
Yeah.
With the candlestick in the library.
Right. It was Professor Plum in the conservatory with the lead pipe.
Deepak Chona on the Twitter with the metal shoe. Let's see.
How much of Hunt should we see taking snaps from Ford? I spent a hefty amount of him in Fab last night. Yeah, I got that. I mean, all right. So first and foremost, on SiriusXM today, I'm writing a love letter to all Jerome Ford owners. So I don't really want to reveal too much, but I'll just say this. I don't see Hunt overall taking a ton away. Will he take some of the passing work at some point? Yes, he probably will eat into it. I still think Jerome Ford leads the backfield. I think he's going to be given every opportunity that he possibly can. But faces Tennessee this week. And guess what? Tennessee did to Joshua Kelly, to Jamal Williams. I warned everybody last week. I'm warning y'all again this week. Don't get frustrated with Jerome Ford too early, because he's got San Francisco coming up. That's not a great matchup. There's another one that he's got also.
Yeah, the schedule is, but the thing is, you're getting him.
Ravens. So he's got Titans, Ravens, 49ers, Colts, but then the schedule kind of like it loosens for him. And so I'm going to still stay well invested where I have Jerome Ford. I had him in a couple of places already. I picked him up off of waivers last night. I didn't go hog crazy wild. I didn't spend my whole fab budget. I actually got him for like 65% of my budget, which I thought was like a nice little, I was just kind of bidding there to see if, somebody else in the league was going to go nuts on it. But overall, right, I'm fine with Jerome Ford. You just have to be patient.
Right. And the reason you go for guys like Jerome Ford and Kyron Williams is that these are going to be season-long plays. I saw people spending up on Matt Breida and Zach Moss. And I'm like, okay, you're going to start Matt Breida for one game against the 49ers on a Thursday? That's going to be brutal, right? Or you have two more games of Zach Moss, hypothetically, and then he goes bye-bye. So, like, Ford and Kyron Williams should have definitely been the priorities over Moss and Breida. No question. Then we got a bench up there for that guy with the Freiermuth and Kincaid. He's got Roche. I might just drop Roschon Johnson.
Really? In this running back economy?
I know. I drop Freiermuth. Drop Freiermuth.
Drop the Muth. Drop the Muth.
Franco said it best.
Muth is the vanilla ice cream of tight ends. You know what? I'm sure John and Pemba has a lot of shares of Pat Freiermuth. No doubt about it.
A good vanilla. It's kind of nice.
All right, let's see what else. Goff over Burrow this week, John? Yes, 100%.
Gotta be
100%. And I don't even like Goff all that much this week. That's another story here. I got offered to trade my Gibbs for Devonta Smith. My wide receivers kind of suck. I had Garrett Wilson. Ethan, what are your what do your running backs look like, Ethan?
All right.
We need that information
I
as
need
well.
that info. I'll tell you what. That's about. It feels like a very fair trade, right? So if your lineup gets better doing the trade, then do it. But don't do it just to do it. But I think the value is like pretty much down the middle on that, right, Howard? Like that. If it
Yeah,
makes both teams better, we might have the rare trade that actually is good for both teams.
definitely. That would be nice. I love those trades. Those
Oh
are the way.
yes,
That's the way trades are supposed to be done. That's
yes, it is.
that's why it's like so many people sit there and they're like, nobody trades in my league, whatever. You know why?
Right.
Because everybody tries to get over on everybody else. And then you put it up to a league vote, and your league is like, "Whoa, what the hell is this? This is the worst trade I've ever seen." And like, and everybody's like out there with their veto stamp nonstop. It's insanity.
I
It's
hate it, dude.
insanity.
I
We
hate
should
it
do like a
for
whole show on how to trade.
that for real. Like trades like that. If you have two quarterbacks and one has his bye week, and then you just don't need the other one, those trades are nice. You know what I mean? Like trades that have a little bit of a narrative to them. And the one that gets vetoed the most that I hate is like somebody that is like 0-2 and they don't have a running back to start. So they trade, a Kamara away for a running back to start this week. And people say, oh no, you can't do that. And they basically force that player to lose this week's matchup and potentially not make the playoffs. It's like sometimes you got to do stuff like that so to survive, So like you can't be vetoing trades that make the person start like a scrub at running back. It's we could do a whole thing on it. So let's
Yeah,
not go
trade
there.
value is relative. Like that's the thing.
Right.
Also, if I'm loaded up at RB and I need wide receiver help, Ethan here's talking stuff like that. To trade a big running back or a guy like everybody's got Jahmyr Gibbs as like a league winner. What you're going to draft it? You're going to trade him for Devonta Smith? I mean, I'm looking at this. Ethan says that his he's got CMC, he's got James Conner as well. I mean, I would make that move. Though I'm just not a huge Jahmyr Gibbs guy, and I'm definitely I'm 100% right so far on how Dan Campbell has used him, which is why I don't have shares of Jahmyr Gibbs. But maybe I'm wrong here, Coop. Would you trade Jahmyr Gibbs for straight
I
up for
would.
Devonta Smith?
I think it's a fair trade, and I think the person trading for Gibbs might not have watched the game. They might not have seen Craig Reynolds come in and do his best David Montgomery impression. And just to solidify that, they went out and signed Bam Knight and said, "Hey, we
Yeah.
want to have a different back on early downs." That's what they've basically told us, and that's okay, right? Like that's smart from an NFL standpoint. It's just not what we want for fantasy football. We want fantasy football. We want dumb coaches, right? We want coaches using the same player every snap, and we want Eli Manning chucking it up to Odell Beckham every single play. But good QBs and smart coaches can be bad for fantasy football sometimes.
No doubt. All right, let's see. Calvo says, "What's up, guys? Start T. Higgins versus the Chargers or Mike Evans versus the Eagles." T. Higgins does not face the Chargers this week. T. Higgins faces the Rams this week. So
He
that
tried to
is
trick us.
well. Mike Evans versus T. Higgins. All things being equal here, Rams versus Philadelphia. I think Evans versus Darius Slay, and T. Higgins with probably Browning at quarterback. What do you like?
Sounds bad. The good news is both games are Monday, so you can wait and see if Joe Burrow is going to play. Obviously, if Burrow plays, it's Higgins, no question. But I kind of skew Higgins anyway.
Okay, perfect. See, there you
Yeah.
go. The lean is Mike Evans, and we'll figure it. Don't sweat it, Coop. You gotta. You can't. You know what? Here's the thing.
I'm overthinking it.
You're overthinking it, and it's Wednesday, and you just said it. These guys play on Monday. You don't have to that one of them's going into your lineup.
Yeah.
You're gonna figure it out. You're going to see what happens during practices. You're going to see what happens in your fantasy game. Do you need to crazy swing for the fences? Do you just want like somebody who's going to be a safe play that's is going to see targets? That's, these decisions need to be made when it's time to make those decisions. So don't commit, Coop. Be a little wishy-washy.
Water.
Be a Charlie Brown for a moment.
We're like water over here. Let's go.
Fluid. Let's see who's somebody's RB3. I have CMC and James Cook. 12-team PP. I don't even know what this question is from Dylan. Do you? I gotta scroll. Oh, how much should we? Oh, yeah. All right. So how much should we see Hunt? All right. That was the continuation of a Kareem Hunt question.
Yeah. Just
All right.
start those other guys. Yeah.
Jalen Warren or Najee Harris? I kind of think like
Sean,
that's just a dirty question.
I know, but it's not necessarily crazy, but you still start Najee Harris. When it changes for me is if they have a 2-minute drill in one of these games and Jalen Warren gets those snaps. So far this year and last year, Najee Harris has gotten 100% of them. So I'm sticking with that.
All right, there we go. It's a dirty question, by the way, Sean.
Nasty.
Filthy, disgusting.
The twitch.
Kyron and London for Olave. Giving up Kyron Williams and Drake London to get Olave. I'll say this right now. I'm going to say no, because if you watch Derek Carr on Monday night, I love Olave. His quarterback sucks. Raiders were right.
Right. And you know what? Like Kyron Williams, running backs, everyone loves a zero RB and all that stuff. Running backs are still the currency of fantasy football. And if this is the injuries through 2 weeks, guess what it's going to look like through 6 weeks, buddy? And guess what it's going to look like when the bye weeks start and it gets real nasty? You're going to be begging for a Kyron Williams.
Yeah, no doubt. Does Paris Campbell get more appealing with no Saquon, or is he droppable? And
get him out. What I've seen, Howard, what I've seen so far from the likes of Paris Campbell and Sterling Shepard and that whole gang makes me want to stash Wan'Dale Robinson in more spots, because there's nothing popping over there.
Jalen Hyatt popped a little bit this past week. Granted, it was Arizona, but Jalen Hyatt still popped a little this week. Like that's if it's Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson and Darren Waller out there, I feel a lot better about the Giants passing game.
I love that. I would love to see Darren Waller as like the split end, Hyatt out wide, and Wan'Dale in the slot, and then like Daniel Bellinger as an inline tight end, just doing nothing. That would be great for fantasy. Just consolidate all the targets among those three guys. We can get away with that. Yeah.
So good. So good. Ryan Smitty with the great comment here. You can't veto stupid. I love that, man. I love that.
Right, it's true.
I'm gonna steal that. You know what? That just became my food for thought on today's Sirius XM commercial. You look at the next question here, Coop, because I'm putting in my food for thought right now.
I'm pinning Ryan. I'm pinning Ryan's comment to the top of the chat.
Where is that? Yeah. Okay. Pinned. You can't veto stupid. Only collusion. Ryan Smitty. Listen, if you're listening to the Fantasy Alarm Show today on Sirius XM, Ryan, you're going to get a nice little shout out here.
Yeah,
Ryan
that's a good
Smitty.
One.
Beautiful.
Smitty.
Beautiful. All right. Mazel tov. That and $250 will get you a subway ride in New York City.
Yeah, Sean, you're right. Najee looks unexplosive, but we have to lean into the usage for now. The looking more explosive with like a guy like Tony Pollard, for years, it didn't translate to anything until last year. When if and when it does flip, then we flip, but we can't, you can't just look at metrics and start assigning roles yourself. They assign the roles.
Well said, Andrew. Well said.
Thanks.
All right. I want to rapid fire through some of these so that we can try and get to some other stuff here. Question from the last show was, should Swift return to the bench if Gainwell returns? I think he kind of got himself into a little bit of a timeshare. He'll get the opportunity, but go look at DeAndre Swift's game log from last season. 155 yards or 144 yards and a touchdown in week 1, and then he did nothing.
Crazy.
Ironically, he ran that game against the Eagles in week 1 while he was with the Lions. Then he sucked the entire rest of the season. He got hurt. Then he came back and couldn't play. And
he's basically running back Sammy Watkins.
Oh, yes.
Like
that is a comp right there. Oh, my God. This is good stuff here. Running back Sammy Watkins.
Yeah, it's painful, but he looks so good at times and they just goes away. I think that's it for questions here.
Is it?
No, we have one from Scamp. Lost Chubb.
Scamp.
You
little scamp.
I lost Chubb, have Saquon, Monty, Javonte, Sharbs, Justice Hill. I got offered Brees Hall and Khalil Herbert for his Kyron Williams. Am I crazy for wanting the sure thing of Kyron? So,
Is Kyron the sure thing?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say he is for sure, but I mean, like Brees Hall and Khalil Herbert.
I mean, I
Brees
don't
Hall,
love Khalil Herbert. That's the problem. I love Brees, definitely, but there is a share going. They're kind of easing him in. 4 carries last week was ridiculous.
and he has to drop Justice Hill to do the trade. He's
Yeah, I mean, so Brees Hall and Khalil Herbert over Kyron Williams and Justice Hill. I think I could actually kind of be swayed into that. I don't love it, but I think I could be swayed into it.
Man, you were looking so good on Saturday, Scamp, with Chubb and Saquon.
All right, well, let's get to the task at hand, Coop. I am the prize. Focus up, buddy.
I
was. Doesn't matter what it was.
I would take the Brees Hall side. Brees Hall looked great, and I think they're going to keep ramping him up. Dalvin Cook looks bad. Michael Carter is Michael Carter. Brees Hall, what he could be, what we saw even week 1. I think they're going to ramp him up, and he's going to be good. So take the trade. Go for Brees.
The deal.
Yep.
Ann Dunn asks, what about Jameis to the Jets? And I'm going to just stop answering your questions now. Can we block Ann's IP address? Unbelievable. I'm going to tell all the ladies in the Man Smart Woman Smarter League that you're like trolling me on these live streams. They'll come after you.
You're being cyberbullied, Howard.
I am. I'm being bullied by Ann Dunn right now.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about a couple of we'll come back to the chat in a little while. If we got some time. Before we get there, though, got to remind everybody that Underdog Fantasy offers new contests and chances to win every day. You can play their pick'em contest by choosing higher or lower on 2 to 5 players. The more players you pick, the more money you can win. So you can do this for MLB, NFL, PGA. You'll get it with NBA as well, NHL. Underdog Fantasy also offers daily drafts with leagues ranging from 2 to 12 players. And now there's a brand new way to play on Underdog Fantasy. Make picks during the game with in-game pick'em. All right. All you need to do is sign up at fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Use the promo code ALARM. First-time depositors get 100% match up to $100. So again, fantasyalarm.com/underdog. Promo code ALARM. A couple of things here. Featured, Coop. Daniel Jones, over half a total yard. The 100K Sunday contest that they say that you make your plays, and then if you use this player, you're automatically entered into their $100,000 contest for playing. So Tyreek Hill Tyreek Hill 91.5 total yards, higher or lower on that one. Daniel Jones is obviously higher. That's the gimme. Right. Thank you very much, sir. May I have another? Right. Exactly. Tyreek Hill 91.5 total yards, higher or lower here against a pretty decent pass defense. Right?
I just don't see how you can pick lower. I just don't see how you can pick lower on this player right now. He's playing so well. And Jalen Waddle also with the concussion protocol, we don't even know if he's going to go. I mean, I think it's got to be higher for me. I don't know. What do you think, Howard?
Denver secondary.
I know.
I love it, but we have seen Tyreek Hill shut down when there is good quality bracket coverage on him. Yeah. And this Denver secondary, I mean, I get it. I mean, Tyreek's he's ridiculous. How many times did you see him run that like crossing slant where they just couldn't catch him?
And Tua, if you watch Tua will do the play action and he turns around and throws it without looking to the spot. Like they trust this system so much. It is wild. Like it's almost just literally like a turnaround J, like doesn't even look, and Hill's there every time. So I don't know. I think I still want to go higher.
Well, you know what? No. I'm going to actually go with you on the higher here. I'm going to finalize it with a higher because this is what the sucker bet is. Because all of a sudden you come in and you're like Patrick Surtain, Denver secondary, their coverage is fantastic. This, that, the other thing. The one intangible that everybody seems to forget is the Miami flu. And players come down to Miami and they party and they're
They go-
there and they're out late and they're at the club and they're having a great time. And all of a sudden, somebody's lost a step or two in their coverage. So I kind of feel like the 91.5 is like, everybody's like, oh man, is he gonna have a 100-yard game against Denver? So good. I'm with you, Coop. I'm gonna take the higher with you, and we're gonna bank on the fact that it's all up in the club.
Yeah, and anybody, yep. So anybody down there in Miami, if you see any of these guys at the Clevelander, one of those spots, buy them a drink, buy them two.
Send over a bottle of Cristal. It's worth the investment.
Load them up.
All right, so that's the 100K one for Sunday. Let's each give out one pick here that they can kind of pair it up with. I'm going to start because I'm just going super chalk here. Justin Jefferson scores a touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdown. He just needs to get into the box. In this matchup here against the Chargers, this is a 54 game line on this one here. This to me screams Justin Jefferson in the end zone with the football. If we're going to play Clue right now, it's Justin Jefferson in the end zone with the football. Higher than half a rushing and receiving touchdown.
That seems too easy. I'm going to go with one here that is actually trailing you, Howard. Something you said yesterday. Basically just taking a big chunk of something that you said yesterday on this show and finding a way to monetize it, which is you talked about this Lions-Falcons game and how not only does the way that the game script work out going to essentially force the Falcons to throw a little more than they usually do. Obviously, they're going to run plenty and try to run, but with no CJ Gardner-Johnson, potentially out for the year is what I'm seeing, Howard. They already put him on IR. I think Desmond Ridder could have a normal game. With the number for him set at 190 and a half yards, he doesn't even have to have a great game, right? Like last week, we've seen him have plenty of games where he can throw for 250 yards. All he has to do is have a normal game passing the football and we're good. So I'm going to go higher on Ridder there. And the thing is, if he doesn't hit the higher on that, now I got to drop Kyle Pitts in all my leagues and we're feeling bad about all these other players. So I'm rooting for this in more ways than one. Like I need a normal game from this team. So Desmond Ridder feels like a good one there with the higher.
I think what I'm going to do right now, Coop, is while I am here on the show with you, I'm going to play all four of those picks.
Put them in there, yeah.
See what we can get. See what we can do here. Let me click my old log out. The fact that I have to, I don't know if this is a browser thing or whatnot, but the fact that I have to log in every single time. All right, so I'm going higher for Daniel Jones, higher for Tyreek Hill. Why won't it let me click it?
You can put FIFA games and you can put other sports in with the football ones.
Oh, you can't play them together.
Oh, cowards.
Can't play. Well, because it's the $100,000 one. Which,
they don't want to give us $100,000.
I'm trying to be like a little of a little fool here. All right, so wait. So I'm gonna still do it here. We got Tyreek Hill. I'm going higher. Man, now I gotta scroll all the way down. Oh, where's Justin Jefferson? There you are. Higher. And what was our Desmond Ridder?
Desmond Ridder. And folks out there, as the games get closer, they add more and more. So if you look at the Thursday ones, Brock Purdy, there's numbers for everything. Pass TDs, pass yards, rush yards, rushing attempts, everything. So they're going to keep adding them through the week. Maybe we'll do a little Thursday one tomorrow, Howard. But I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm keeping an eye on that Cardinals game. I want to see a Rondale Moore one in there. Right now, they only have Matt Prater, but they will add people. And whoever's playing slot for the Cardinals, I'm going to move them up a little bit. I'm feeling good about that. So, but yeah, what is that? So if you get those three in there, what does that do? Does that 3x us? Does that 6x us?
Oh yeah. It just did 3x is us.
3x. Let's go.
3. Listen, right? I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Why not? Why
No,
not?
I think if you put all three at 6x, it goes 6x.
Oh, does it 6x? Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, Coop. What are you gonna do?
Well, I want the people to know that if you put 3 in there, 6 times your money. Yeah, Yeah, buddy.
There you go. Maybe I should have looked at the final ticket after just clicking some.
Just smashing money.
I'm just gonna bid this much money, and
yeah, that that is how it works, dude. That is how it works. But I
all
love
right,
it.
couple of things that So let's go back to a couple of injuries if we could here. Or do you want to talk secondaries? You want to talk injuries? You
Let's
want
do
to talk
second.
secondaries?
We've been trying to talk about the secondaries for 2 days now.
All right, so here we go. So one of the things that we obviously try to identify on the regular is who's got that weak secondary that you can start loading up wide receivers against in DFS, and we try to track it. One of the we would do this with tight ends. You would look and see who the team was that gave up the most fantasy points per game to the tight end, and then we would take that and look at who's got the worst DVOA against the tight end position, and then boom, all of a sudden we're always targeting the using the tight end against Arizona. That's really kind of where it all went down from. So now we're talking secondaries here, and it's it's a little bit broader of a scope, but taking a look at what's going on here coming into this week, this 5 secondaries, Coop, who had given up the most passing yards per game: the Chargers, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Colts, and the Titans. So right off the bat, we're already looking at that Chargers secondary. Very deceptively, the numbers for Minnesota don't really say how bad that secondary is, but that is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Something you have to do. You have to look at the matchups for some of these just to be sure. But I mean, like even with the Chargers, one of those matchups was against the Titans. So it's like if the numbers are saying this team is bad versus the pass and one of the teams isn't good, then you can definitely lean into that one, right? With the Vikings, I don't know. Do you think it's a matchup thing?
Do I think it's a matchup thing? Yeah. I mean, let me go through here as far as, Minnesota and their games. What was it? It was Tampa Bay. And that was not a team that was really heavily passing on them. They threw some, but you weren't looking at it saying that Baker Mayfield is racking up all of these ridiculous numbers. So that was week 1, and then against the Eagles, one of the things that we saw was the number of rushing touchdowns that we had in that game against the Eagles. Right, it was Jalen Hurts ran in 1, 2. And DeAndre Swift ran in a 3rd touchdown, and he only had 1 touchdown for Devonta Smith. So that's going to skew the DVOA numbers there. So that's something that you just kind of have to pay attention. Pay attention. Coop, have you got to go? Coop was getting
I'm good. I was going to
text there. Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm good. It was my wife didn't realize I was live on a show, even though I'm live on a show at this time every day. But we sorted that. We sorted that one out. It's something that I can handle in 10 minutes. So sorry about that.
Well, then let me just kind of get back to it then. So anyway, so that's why the numbers for Minnesota don't look as bad as what they should look like. And against the Chargers, it's going to be bad, which is why you have that going on there. But anyway, the Chargers, worst secondary here, giving up the most yards. The Eagles, 326 passing yards per game against them. One of the things that you're going to have to know, I mean, listen, or we accept, is that every team is going to have to throw against the Eagles in the second half, especially if the Eagles have the lead. They're just going to run the football, and in the second half and do that. So you have to assume that secondary is going to be tested, but throw away from Darius Slay seems to be working. Seattle's secondary, no longer the Legion of Boom. Indianapolis' secondary is absolutely atrocious anyway. And then the Titans secondary is the other one there. So to me, and obviously I look at those numbers there and it immediately turns me to the opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah. I'll tell you, with the Eagles in particular, they are getting exposed over the middle. So they have Slay on the outside, typically Bradbury on the other side, but the tight ends have been doing damage here. And you're talking about pass yards allowed with 326. With touchdowns, Hunter Henry scored a touchdown week 1. TJ Hawkins has scored 2 in week 2. So this team in 2 games already left 3 touchdowns to the tight end, which for your showdown slates on Monday, Cade Otton, I mean, he got 6 targets last week. Maybe a little sneaky over the middle play there. I think that when I'm making my lineup, if I'm making Chris Godwin the captain out of the slot, I might sneak a little Otten in there, fade Mike Evans. Now, Baker Mayfield, is that a guy that we're going to consider here in a situation where they're going to have to throw it? That's where the real question is. And John and Pemba on the show before this kind of, I know he's the number one detractor of Baker Mayfield, and he said some positive things. The fact that he said any positive things at all makes me think Baker is actually a sneaky play, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also, he had said something positive about him last week and he hit. So automatically John goes back to that too. And is that the play or is that the sucker move?
Maybe. Definitely not in single QB real leagues. Just not doing that. Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty funny. You talk about, somebody was talking about sitting Jalen Hurts for Kirk Cousins this week because of Cousins' matchup against there. Now, he's obviously looking at Cousins throwing for 340 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. And, and then he sees that matchup. But, I mean, can you even think about benching Jalen Hurts, because of the matchup this week here? I don't think you can. Not at all.
No, Jalen Hurts to me is just a guy that I'm just never going to bench. This isn't a situation like Justin Fields where we're kind of chasing hypothetical upside. Like, we already know where it is. I'm never benching Mahomes. I'm never benching Jalen Hurts. I will just straight up lose my fantasy league. Flat out. Like, I've already committed.
You drafted Hurts. You drafted Hurts in the 3rd round, the 4th round, maybe, because you wanted to just lock him in as your starting quarterback. To sit there and play matchups right now, that's just, focus your energy on commit to it. Focus your energy on the on that front for sure. What other numbers did I pull here?
What can we take advantage of here? So Seahawks, Colts, Titans. Like, who's playing the Seahawks? Bryce Young. Okay, never mind.
It's Jonathan Mingo season, dude. What are you talking about?
Maybe, dude. It was Adam Thielen. Apparently, is back from the dead. He was the focal point of that team. I mean, talk about the old guy fist fight with Michael Thomas versus Adam Thielen until they ran out of steam at halftime. They're involved, man. Lamar Jackson versus the Colts this week. Smash spot.
I love that.
Yeah,
might be the one, dude. That spot. I do. Yeah. And you know what? Listen, if I'm sitting in a season-long fantasy league, I'm willing to maybe give the benefit of the doubt to Deshaun Watson if it's a matter of playing him or having somebody else on the roster, against this Titans secondary, because I don't think that Jerome Ford's going to get a whole lot of running room, in that. So it's just another name to think about, another name to just kind of consider, as you're moving forward here. Now, again, right. Like all of this stuff, we've got all of this stuff over at fantasyalarm.com. So allow me to, kind of wrap things up here on Alarm Fantasy Football like a corporate shill. Just tell y'all to go to Fantasy Alarm. If you don't have a subscription to Fantasy Alarm, all right, what is that? What? Yeah, there you go. There's the hat. Maybe we'll get you a hat. Who knows? But we're offering up a 7-day free trial. And that's going to go away pretty soon because we've been offering this 7-day free trial for a couple of weeks. A lot of great people have taken advantage of it. I've been chatting up with tons of new people in the Fantasy Alarm Discord. So, what you're going to want to do is go to fantasyalarm.com/win. All right. It's going to set you up immediately. It's going to show you about the monthly. And then it's going to send you to the 7-day free trial. Sign up for that. Take it all for a spin. Read everything that we've got on the site this week. If it's just football for you, we've got more than enough football for you to end up reading. Please wait till the weekly matchup report from John and Pemba comes out tomorrow. You're going to go bonkers over that one. So read all the content, play DFS with us. The best bets right now, rocking and rolling on that front as well. Just jump in on it and take it for that 7-day free trial. It's going to end up paying for itself. fantasyalarm.com/win. That's where you want to go. Coop, as we wrap things up here today, any final thoughts from you?
The last one I want to mention that it just goes underappreciated because Matt Sells himself doesn't like the victory lap, but this guy absolutely destroys the NASCAR content. So if you do the 7-day free trial, you have to take advantage of his picks. He's been the 3-time NASCAR Writer of the Year. So if you're a Fantasy Alarm member now, or if you're just doing the trial, go over there and just make a lineup. It is fun. I personally, I keep Red Zone on and I play whatever the local game is, and then on one other screen I have a NASCAR race just because it's always fun. And I hate to say it, I've probably made more money doing NASCAR DFS just off sales picks than I have from any other sport. The guy's great.
Guy is great. Mike Iannone doing MMA also, absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it. How much is that subscription after the 7-day trial ends? Just under $40 a month, $39.97 a month. And you
You'll pay for it this weekend.
Yeah. Look, Rex is saying get the free trial, learn how to play fantasy football better. Look at that, Rex. And I want to give you a big hug and a job, all in the same point. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here with a hey boys. I have Saquon, so I'm trying to make ends meet here with the running back position. What's a more fair trade for me to acquire Jaylen Warren, Marquise Brown, or Marvin Mims? Who you giving up?
Let me put my Twitch glasses on for the Twitch gang. If you want Jaylen Warren, I would try and trade Marquise Brown right now. I don't love Joshua Dobbs. His ability to deliver the football is just not amazing. And Marvin Mims, after he's popped off this week, my boy Marvin Hims, I think he's going to get a lot more snaps here. And these are the guys that translate and turn into the Amon-Ra St. Browns and the Odell Beckhams. Whereas Marquise Brown, we already know who he is. Low A dot, just okay type guy. So yeah, I would make that move.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to another episode of Alarm Fantasy Football. I want to thank our producer, Ernie Acosta. Coop and I will be back again tomorrow. I'll be on at 1 p.m. for an episode of Getting Buzzed. My special guest, Chris Weaver from NFL Films, going to join me on that show. Then you got me and Coop here at Alarm Fantasy Football. And then after that, Coop's going to be on the old live stream with John and Pemba doing Q&A leading up to that game. And then you can also find us Thursday night in the BetterCast app, watching all the games, chatting it up, answering questions, trying to win some free autographed memorabilia, and it's all free. The app is free. Everything's free. Fantasy Alarm subscription costs money, but gets that 7-day free trial. So for Andrew Cooper, I'm Howard Bender. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you next time.